welcome everyone for joining us today for another CEU course. We got a great presentation which we'll get to in a second. But as you know, today's presentation is on Twitter. And it's been said that on Twitter you get 140 characters to be worth paying attention to no matter who or what you are. And today we'll be learning from a great speaker about how to use every one of those characters to our best advantage. Georgianne Brown is co-founder and managing partner for Big Couch Media Group, a South Florida-based strategic consulting and full-service agency. Georgie has over 20 years of experience in digital strategy and marketing and was an early adopter and evangelical. She was evangelical in her social media expertise. She's been a great help to us at Capital Lighting, and I'm sure you'll find her to be of great help to you. So, Georgie, was that a good enough build-up for you?
My goodness, I don't know if I can live up to that evangelical.
Well, you have to because yes, I have faith. I have faith in you, Georgie. Let's get it going.
Well, thank you, Eric, and welcome everyone to this CEU course. And I'm excited to be presenting the CEU course on how you can start using Twitter as part of your marketing efforts to establish your brand and build your business. I have one goal today, is to share some basics with you and help just guide you on why you should be using Twitter. So every day, millions of users are creating, sharing, and discovering ideas on Twitter. Users also find great value in connecting with businesses of all kinds on Twitter to do things like share their experiences, both good and not so good, provide feedback on recent events or launches. They discuss product ideas. People are also learning about exclusive deals or offers, and they're also using Twitter as a way for customer service. So today we're going to cover what is Twitter, why you should be on Twitter as part of your marketing. We're going to learn the lingo, which I'm sure many of you are hearing, but we're going to provide all the definitions for you. We're going to talk specifically about interior designers and some of their success stories and home decor brands. And then we're going to get down a little bit to the nuts and bolts and give you a little roadmap on how to get started if you haven't done that already. So what is Twitter? Twitter is simply an online social network that allows users to send and read 140 character messages in real time. And Eric alluded to the 140 characters. So it's very different than other social networks. So unlike networks like Facebook, Twitter's key characteristics are less about profiles and people and more about real-time information sharing and streaming. Think about it like a news information network. The Twitter sphere is huge. There are over 288 million active monthly users who in turn send out over 500 million tweets per day. And it's mainly today from their mobile device. And there is a lot of discussion going on out there. And so my message to you guys is you need to get in on the conversation. 500 million tweets a day talking about a whole array of subjects. And a lot of them center around things that are very relative to the design industry. So now let's talk about why you should get started. Leveraging Twitter is another great social channel you can use to establish yourself as an authority in your field. And we talk a lot about this. We've talked about this in the other CEUs. This is just another channel, another social channel, another part of your marketing mix. The Twitter demographics are very solid for the design community, with almost half of Twitter users, being skewing female, and 41% of those ages 35 and up. So that's a great place for us to be engaging in conversations with potential customers.
Yeah,
also,
surprising.
It is, and it has changed. You know, in updating this, those numbers continue to increase, and actually the fastest growing segments on Twitter are women 55 and up, which is really a surprising stat. I didn't put it in here, but I was looking through different statistics. So it is starting to be more mainstream for you know, older people like us. So also, many studies have shown that active Twitter users are more likely to share and endorse companies they follow. So more than 50% of active Twitter users engage with brands. So they're not just getting in conversations with their friends or you know, news channels or experts they might follow, but they're actually engaging with brands. And because of its authority, being active on Twitter will absolutely help you rank higher overall in search engines like Google. And we know today the way consumers are now engaging with content and information and products is skewing very digital. You know, it's this whole idea of you know, devices across multiple devices. So it's just, again, I can't reiterate enough. You need to get in the game if you're not already in the game.
The other thing that I found surprising from those early stats is the mobile. It's 80% mobile. It's got to be the highest by far for all other social media channels.
Yes. Yeah, and everything is going
headed that way, sure.
Is headed that way. I mean, what's going to be interesting, not to digress on the subject, but as people leverage streaming television as their method of consuming what we think of as traditional TV, that's yet another device. So as businesses and marketers, and we think about screens and platforms, we're going to have to rethink television. So that'll be for another CEU, which is, you know, but there's a whole interesting phenomena. And then last but not least, you can get started and be very active on Twitter, and it's free. So, you know, as we look at marketing channels, you know, leveraging the things that we just kind of have to put our sweat equity into versus writing checks is always, you know, something that we should be doing moving forward. So now we're going to talk about the lingo. And I'm sure many of you have heard this, and you may have to come back and watch this again, because there's a whole different language on Twitter. So to follow someone is to subscribe to their messages. And when you subscribe to their messages, it shows up in your Twitter feed real time. And so for the most part, when people are following other people and they're following their news feed, they're now, as the stat that we just talked about, the 80%, they're doing this on mobile. It's real time. It's a real-time conversation. So that's the follow. That's when I'm interested in what Eric has to say or Capital Lighting, and I follow them, and their messages show up in my Twitter feed real time. The infamous tweet is, in the simplest terms, your 140-character individual message you send out to your followers. Now, although you're limited to the 140 character, Twitter also allows you to add images or videos to your tweets. And this is so important, especially for the design community, because your business is very visually oriented. A direct message, or DM, is when you send a private message to someone, like an email message, but it's on Twitter. So a lot of people, and some of us may have experienced this with our children, but again, it's starting to skew older. People are actually using Twitter as the platform to communicate versus email. So you could actually send direct messages to people that you wanted to affiliate yourself with on Twitter. A retweet, or as you see here, RT, is when you repost or share a message and give that Twitter user or company, it could be a user or a company, credit. And so as and we're going to talk about this a little later about building followers, you need to be following and reposting other people's content. It's sort of, it's a quid pro quo, because ultimately you want people to be retweeting your messages. A reply is when you respond to a tweet, and it is a great way to engage with your followers. So anybody that's following you and makes a comment, it's nice to reply to that comment, and that's just a great way for engagements once you are you're building your follower base. And then favoriting something. This is similar. We like things on Facebook or LinkedIn. Favoriting something is a great way of acknowledging or showing your appreciation for a tweet. It can also be a very useful way to bookmark tweets. I'm getting my tongue tied a little bit, so you can find them easily in the future. So it's sort of like creating your favorite list. Hashtags are a very important aspect of Twitter, and now today on other social networks such as Facebook. So Twitter was kind of a leader. They created this idea of hashtags, but now the other social networks are all following suit, whether it's Instagram. In short, people insert hashtags into their tweets to provide context and make them easily searchable for others interested in a specific topic. It is simply a keyword or phrase with no spaces preceded by the hash symbol, excuse me. And here's an example of that. Trending. When a term becomes very popular on Twitter, it's termed trending. Twitter lists these trending terms on its homepage. But one thing about trending, because remember, this is the real-time nature of Twitter. So things can come in and out of popularity. So I happen to pull this on a Wednesday, which is why the popular trending topic, and you see the hashtag there, was hump day, and because it was Wednesday, and then also ballpark food because because it's the start of we had opening day recently. So this is a great way as it relates to the design community. You know, something like you know, when this spring, the first day of spring would have been, I'm sure on that day, first day of spring was a trending topic, and that would have been a great opportunity for, in the design community, to post something relevant about thinking about landscape lighting or spring cleaning, you know, redoing your bathroom or something like that. So watching the trending topics is very important. A mention is a public message to someone when you insert the @ sign, and it causes your tweet to show up in the mention section of that user's Twitter account. So if you wanted to shout out, even if for instance, if I wanted to shout out on Twitter to Eric, I would say @Eric Liebersfeld or @1-800-Lighting if I wanted to do it on a company name or a celebrity and that sort of thing. So now let's get into the top interior designers on Twitter. So Aaron Gates, and it was really interesting because we've been following Aaron for a little over a year, the designers that we're going to talk about. And so when we first started following Aaron, she had about 10,000 followers. And now today, she has over 23,000 followers. And that is maybe a little bit more than a year, if that. Holly Becker, her numbers really increased. So when we first started following Holly, she had about 20,000 followers, and now she has over 68,000 followers.
Well.
And then our buddy Nate, who was in the low 115, 112,000. Now has he has 240,000. And so these are all people in your community, in your space. So, and they do this by posting relevant content, getting involved in discussions and other follower building tactics. Additionally, there are Twitter profiles such as these guys, the Interior Designers Chat, with over 31,000 followers. When we first started engaging with these guys, they had about 9,000, I believe. So again, that was a little over a year ago. And what's cool about this, and this is something, you know, for you to consider, maybe not as a phase one, but you can schedule events and those types of things. But this is a weekly scheduled conversation on Tuesdays from 6 to 7 between interior designers, architects, home furnishing industry professionals. So definitely this is something that you guys should check out and get involved in. Also, all of the major home decor brands are on Twitter with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers. So why are these businesses using Twitter? They're using it for branding. They're using it for networking, virtual networking, just like going to your local chamber. This is the virtual networking aspect of Twitter. They're even using for customer service. So many companies have a dedicated Twitter profile set up for customer service, or they have their customer service, they have dedicated or they have assigned someone in their organization to monitor Twitter, because people will absolutely, if they have a business experience with you and they either have a positive or a negative experience, there is, if they're an active Twitter user, they're going to be posting it on Twitter. But it's great, certainly great for customer service, for the good and the not so good. It's also good for reputation management, because Twitter, you can monitor to see what people are saying about your brand, and you can respond as needed. And of course, you can use Twitter for prospecting and promoting your services. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but I'd like to reiterate it because it's really the thing that makes Twitter different and why it's so valuable. So Twitter is about real time. So you can engage in real-time conversations. You can gather valuable insights on what people are saying about you or your business in real time. You can identify current trends and engage in that conversation. And these things will also help you if you've attended, for instance, our blogging CEU. This could give you some great ideas on blog topics if you know what people are talking about and interacting about. And it also allows you to follow real-time events and stories. So, I can't say, for instance, like the first day of spring, the opening day of baseball. There were real-time stories, people tweeting from ballparks and that sort of thing, even world events. So there's an opportunity to, again, be following and commenting on real-time events and stories. So you become part of the story. So now hopefully you're convinced that you need to get started. And so I'm going to cover the basics of getting started on Twitter. So you're going to, it's pretty simple. You're going to go to twitter.com. And the first, once you go to the home page and you fill in your email address. So one of the things that you're going to want to do is pick a consistent account name across all your social media if possible. If you've attended the other CEU courses, this is sort of a common theme. If you can, it's great. Sometimes you can't because of the millions and millions of profiles out there, especially if you have something that's maybe not a name of a company that's not unique. Maybe try to pick something that is unique and use it across all your profiles. Twitter is then going to walk you through step by step to fill out your profile. You want to make sure you include your location, your bio, image, and a background. And your bio and location are great opportunities to add keywords to your profile. And including keywords or the words you want to be known or found for on Twitter or even in search is important to include in your bio and the description of your company. And once you do that, you're ready to go. So now let's talk about customizing your profile. So that was just like, let's get the basic profile set up. So Twitter has, over the past, year or so, really put a lot of effort into enhancing its profile with things like their new header image. What's funny is, yes, the header image is very similar to the Facebook image. So it is a different size, but it's similar. So as you're thinking about designing and customizing your profile, you could be very consistent with what you're doing in other channels. And then you also have the ability to add a lot of other information and announcements about your company. So how do you design with your header image? You simply go to your settings, and then you're going to click on Design, and you just follow the upload instructions. And Twitter also, they spoon feed it to you, and they have a very robust help center, and it'll give you all the optimal image sizes and file sizes to use to have, the best profile. You're going to click on Change Header, and then you're going to be prompted to upload the image in the appropriate sizes. So now that you've done that, you also have the opportunity to customize your background. Again, this is just another way to convey your brand. And so, again, this is going to be in the settings. You go back to settings, and it will walk you through how to customize your background image. And so, I say all this because there's the old saying that says you have one opportunity to make a good first impression. So you want to make sure, especially for designers, that everything is so visual. You want to, really put your best foot forward. And one of the things that I would suggest is play around a little bit on Twitter. Look up some of designers that you look up to, some major designers, some home decor brands, other brands, and see what they're doing. And sometimes doing a little bit of that research is going to inspire you to create a really robust profile. Okay, so now we have a profile. We have a presence. So, we want to start building followers. So why do you want to do that? This helps you establish authority. It's going to expand your influence, and it will generate prospects for you. So here's just some key things to consider as you're building your followers. So first, you want to establish a fun but authoritative tone, and you want to tweet often. And so a lot of people ask me, how often should I tweet? And because of the real-time nature of Twitter, some people, let's say you're NBC News, they're tweeting hundreds of times a day. Now, that's not going to be practical for you. I would challenge you, and I would schedule it to try to tweet at least once a day. You want to follow others and be followed, because remember, it's a two-way street. You want to use the trending topics, as we discussed earlier, to get involved in discussions around your industry and what's going on today. Use hashtags. Remember, hashtags are a way to categorize conversations. So you want to get in the conversation. You might create your own hashtag, and other people will start following your topics, but also implement other more popular hashtags. You want to include images and videos, and you can also get involved in chats. And so there's special channels, and I would maybe just check this one out. There's several, like Tweet Chat, and you can actually get involved. That's kind of a middle platform that aggregates all the chats that are going on in Twitter, so you can actually see discussions that are happening that are relative to your industry. And then the last thing is you want to promote your Twitter, just like you promote your Facebook, whether it's your email signature, promote it in your other social media, and also your website. So a lot of people ask me the best times to tweet, and you want to think about the best times because that is going to increase the likelihood of your tweet going viral or getting retweeted. Retweeted. It's so funny, hard to say that word. So no surprise, peak week times, Monday through Thursday, from about 1 to 3. So that's
I guess that allows for the that's 1 to 3 Eastern Standard, probably.
Yes, 1 to 3 Eastern Standard. Sorry,
that's allowing. Yeah, it's just allowing for California to get online, and that's why probably the greatest chance for viral tweets would have everybody's up.
Yeah, it's kind of like the perfect storm, right? The East Coast and the West Coast there.
Yep.
So just a few tips to improve engagement. Use 100 characters or less. You want to add links. So links have a higher likelihood of being retweeted. We want, again, I can't reiterate again, tweet often. You don't always have to be creating the tweets. You could maybe say, I'm going to post once a day at 1 o'clock, but maybe in the morning you're going to read through your Twitter feed and do some retweeting, do some following. You want to make sure you use the hashtag. You want to use images. And, another thing is you actually can request a retweet. When you tweet, you ask for the retweet, and that's totally cool. So according to a recent study, requesting a retweet significantly improves the engagement. So there's a higher likelihood that someone would retweet your tweet. So now, having said that, if you ask and people are doing it, again, it's a two-way street. So when you see someone that you're following that says, hey, please retweet, you want to share the love. Twitter's all about sharing the love. So I'm sure you have seen Twitter on many websites or blogs. And so for instructions to add these Twitter widgets, they're called, to your site or your blog, Twitter has a very self-explanatory description on how you do that. So if you're technically savvy, it's just copying and pasting a little code into a page. So if you're doing WordPress, and actually a lot of the blogging platforms like a WordPress has, off-the-shelf modules, or you can call whoever manages your website, and it's a 10-minute thing. It's not a 2-hour thing. So even if you have to pay someone who manages your website, it's not going to cost you very much money. So I know when we started at the beginning of this CEU, we were talking about the free nature, and everything that we have talked about is free. But I did want to talk a little bit about, and mention it, about the Twitter advertising tools, because they've really, just like the rest of the social networks, a lot of the premium placements, especially if you have very specific products or services in a geographic area and that sort of thing, you can use Twitter just like we've talked about in the Facebook CEU to do the same thing. And over the past year, they've introduced a pretty robust self-service tool for small business. This is where you could either promote your profile page, your account, your business. Maybe, you have your page set up as, yourself. You can also do a promoted tweet as well, and you can be very targeted in those tweets. It's great. They provide really good analytics and measurement tools so you can measure the engagement. And you can also, just like in Facebook, you can set a minimum budget. So if you just wanted to test something, maybe you want to have a $10 budget and see how that does. Now, I will just say, make sure that before you do start spending advertising dollars, that you have a goal. Like, how are you going to measure success? Is it building more Twitter followers? Is it sales? Is it clicks to the website? So that you can really evaluate how you're going to measure success. And that really goes for anything, not just Twitter advertising.
Goes for life.
What
was that piece that they're trying to sell there on Amazon? Do you have any idea what that was?
I'm not sure what that is. It's some type of something for a car.
It might be like to sit in the back of a pickup truck that you sit in, and I saw that on Shark Tank.
Could be, but it was like the deal of the day. And I'm always a sucker for the deal of the day. I'm like, maybe I need one of those.
Or a pair. You need a pair.
Or two. Maybe I need more than, I guess I could have come up with something a little more exciting than the pickup truck. This is the story of my life. Really exciting. I'm looking at pickup trucks.
You go.
So just some tips for success. Create a consistent social media presence. So it's not just about Twitter. And I encourage you, if this is the first CEU that you're watching from Capital, watch the other ones. They'll be very helpful, and it's just so important today to be engaging in social media. Create an awesome bio. Aggressively follow others in your industry. You want to make sure you put your best foot forward with your profile. And the last part of that is you need to tweet. Tweet, tweet, tweet. You really do. And again, just commit to maybe one tweet a day, but do some retweeting, because especially if it's in your industry, you'll be very surprised to see how your follower base and your engagement can improve. So why should you get started? This is your target market, and everything other than the advertising tool that we talked briefly about, it's free. And unlike other social channels like Facebook, and because of the 140 characters, you really only need to commit to a few minutes each day. You really do. I mean, 140 characters, that's easy. And actually, the optimal is under 100 characters. The next thing, it's real time, so you can get involved in conversations as an expert on very current topics and trends. So if they're talking about spring cleaning, or if there's a lot of activity, for instance, when there's HGTV shows. And so if you happen to be somebody who watches these shows, which maybe you should to get engaged in social media, you could actually get engaged in those discussions real time with other like people talking about those topics. So If any of you are following any of those shows, you know, they always have the hashtag, and that's just the way that you get involved in those discussions. This is a great way for you to stay closer and in contact with your customers. So you do have a percentage of your customers who are active on Twitter. And we know the active, at least half of them are probably, let's say, active, and they're following brands. So you want them to be following your brand, your business. Twitter users.
Just, you know, just like sort of what you said. If you want them to follow you, you sort of have to engage with them. Just like in Facebook, you know, to get a friend, you have to be a friend and show interest in what they're doing. That's the easiest way to build your base. Isn't there sort of a quid pro quo? If you follow somebody, they usually follow you?
They usually do, yeah. That's just kind of the way of the world. But what you want to do is you want to follow, so, you know, you want to follow relevant, you would follow relevant people that either have customers that profile like yours or that are in your industry, because then their followers are going to have a high likelihood of following you. So everybody, and again, it's the real-time nature of Twitter that makes it, you know, really special. So if something is happening in real time, that's when you want to engage in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We know Twitter users are influencing companies and brands. It is at least not for the foreseeable future. It's not going away, and you need to join in. And the people in the consumers, and the female consumers in our target age range are adopting Twitter. So, you know, back when Twitter first started, just like Facebook, it was, you know, younger people. It has evolved. It's now getting adopted as, you know, a really important information network. And but maybe in 10 years from now, you know, Twitter won't be here. But for today's purposes, it's not going away. And, you know, I totally just recommend that you just start by committing a few minutes a day, you know, to when you get up in the morning, even if you can only do it in the morning, maybe it's right after lunch. You're on the East Coast, you come back from lunch, you give a little tweet, right? Kind of like dessert. But it's really a lot of fun. So I want to thank everybody for taking time today, and I do hope you're inspired to just try Twitter. These are just the basics. I wanted to kind of set the stage, have you start engaging on Twitter, get your profile set up, start tweeting and retweeting, and you'll be amazed to see the kind of results on how you can engage with your current customers as well as prospects.
Awesome. Thank you, Georgie. You know, I guess the question that's always on most people's mind, especially if they're not in this medium right now, is where do I find the time? You know, I'm on Facebook. I'm in-house. You know, those are important channels for me. And now people keep telling me that I need to go onto Twitter. And but if it's done in, you know, how do you eat an elephant? Yeah, one bite at a time. So get started with it. Commit 5 minutes a day, just to dip your foot in the water, because there's eyeballs in there. There's people that live in the Twitter sphere, and they don't go anywhere else. So if you want to try to engage that fairly significant part of the population, and it's not just 20-something males, as you showed from those earlier slides. There's half of the Twitter users are female, and a good portion of them are in our in our sweet spot of over 35, good disposable income, building their dream homes perhaps, and this is just their form of communication, real-time, very mobile, business people or just people on the go, and it's a place where you should be. So
agree. I totally agree with you. And the whole idea of just at 40,000 feet, engaging with your customers and prospects where they want to be engaged. They may, as Eric was saying, they may be on Twitter and not even on Facebook, and they don't even know how. So if you're not there, they're not going to find you. They're not going to come find you on Facebook. So just think about, you want to have the shelf space, the digital shelf space. And so that's why it's just important to keep all of these things in mind that we continue to share with our important partners, the designers.
And it also seems to be evolving and sort of coalescing. I mean, now you can share videos. Now you can share links. So you could have more content if you decide to go that way, which makes it a little easier to use the same content. If you had a LinkedIn post or a Facebook post, many times it's concurrent. You can use the same post in the different mediums. You might have to change up the amount of words or perhaps the tone, because Facebook is a little bit more, well, it's still very transient, a little more permanent than a tweet.
Yes.
People go back. People go back in Facebook and take a look at, oh, here's this person. Let me look back. Whereas a tweet's in and out and it's gone. I guess they can look at your history and say, what's this person all about and what are they tweeting about? Let me look at their feed and get a sense of what they're all about. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And like Georgie said, just take a few minutes and dip your foot in the pool and get started, and good luck with Twitter. And if you did watch this course for the CEU, please take the assessment and send it in, and we'll make sure we put you on the path to get that credit. Thank you, Georgie. Really appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.